What is going on, you guys? My name is Rage and we are back today with a Dark Dimension overview in terms of what I've learned now completing all the Dark Dimensions in the game. As we prepare for Dark Dimension 5 that's in the works. What have I learned so far? And I'm hoping to give you guys some insight in terms of how I'm preparing now, because at the end of the day, when you're watching these videos, they do get dated based on the characters. But what I want to show you is my insight, and hopefully it can change your perspective on how you prepare, because especially for those of you who haven't started Dark Dimension 3 or Dark Dimension 4, I think you're going to find value watching this, especially from those who have learned from their experience in terms of characters they've invested in. So as you can see here, I'm ranked as 18,000 in the game. And when you take a look at my profile here, I actually did complete Dark Dimension 4 the second time with a collection power of about 6.7, 6.8 million for reference. And total days logged in was less than 600 days because it did occur before my 600-day account review. So that just kind of gives you a sense of how powerful my team and roster is. That being said, I did take the time here to actually put together a spreadsheet, as you can see here. And really, this overview really encompasses my journey from Dark Dimension 2 to Dark Dimension 3, and then lastly, the most recently, Dark Dimension 4. And as you can see from this overview, there are 21 total characters that I've used, and this is just from all the videos that I have on YouTube. But you can see here, 21 characters is a lot of different characters that I've utilized here, and they're broken out and grouped by their specific sections that I've used them in. So you can see here with City, Cosmic, the global nodes, and then lastly the legendary nodes that were only applicable in Dark Dimension 4. But I've also kind of put green X marks, as you can see here, anywhere that I've kind of pushed them through from Dark Dimension 2. The orange ones are the ones that I've added actually new in Dark Dimension 4. And the reason they're orange is because these are opportunities where maybe newer players could have taken advantage of by investing in them earlier rather than later. For me, I was too late to the ball game already, so I already had them actually used in Dark Dimension 4. But it would have been nice if I could have used them as part of my Dark Dimension 3 or even 2 if I had those materials. And last but not least, the red X's that you can see, there are only two exceptions here, being Thanos and Invisible Woman, where in my personal opinion, maybe I didn't actually need to invest in those characters, whether it be the changing meta, the fact that the characters aren't used, or maybe there's a conflict in materials. For instance, Invisible Woman does have a direct conflict with the symbiote characters because of the biomaterial, so that's just something to consider, right? Especially for those of you who haven't started this journey of getting into that gear grind with Dark Dimension 3 and Dark Dimension 4. That being said, the reason I kind of laid this out is because I really want to showcase to you guys the importance of materials management and understanding which characters should be used ideally, especially in this ever-changing meta. Regardless of the characters you see on my list here, this is to highlight that, in essence here, I used 21 total characters, and to be quite frank, I probably could have done it with less if you wanted to be more efficient. The challenge here is by using 21 characters overall throughout this journey, that's a very heavy investment into the different materials, right? And you can see a lot of the oranges actually occurred in my Dark Dimension 4 because I realized I needed more assistance. I needed more help to push through those nodes, and there's certain characters that I just didn't utilize again. So for instance, Invisible Woman was only used in Dark Dimension 2. That's why she has the red X, because I never actually even brought her into Dark Dimension 3 or Dark Dimension 4. So fortunately, I recognized that early. So what I want you guys to do is take a look at your roster and really understand the meta that's going on right now to prevent these red X's from occurring. We don't want another Thanos or Invisible Woman. In other words, characters that you've invested in and to further be invested in, because you don't want to be over investing in characters that just don't have value, especially if you're a free-to-play player like myself. We really have to stress the importance of obviously making sure that our resources are maximized efficiently and used effectively, so that way we can be competitive. We can actually push forward into these nodes. Now I do want to talk now quite briefly about these orange X's I've added. So you can see here, this is me doing research after the completion of Dark Dimension 3, that I noted that there are certain characters that I want to bring up, and it's whether it's timing, whether it's the fact that these characters weren't added into the game. So an obvious one would be Castro and Silver Surfer. They came into the game well after I was done Dark Dimension 3, and I recognized that these were two very strong characters that I wanted to take advantage of, and especially given there's powerful nodes in Cosmic, these were characters that could add value. So for sure, I took advantage of that. Now that being said, could these guys be characters I potentially push forward into Dark Dimension 5? 100%. That's why it's great for you to consider whether or not these are characters you want to have value for, and you don't want to overinvest in the ones that you don't plan on taking in Dark Dimension 5. So when I was thinking about Dark Dimension 4, I had the attitude of wanting to bring characters already utilized in Dark Dimension 3, because you always want to think forward, right? Who am I going to bring into Dark Dimension 5? That's the big question right now. So taking all those thoughts into consideration, the big message here is really understand the meta. And that's why I have it under my takeaway points here. We want to invest in future-proof characters, but sometimes that can be dictated by the changing meta. And that's why it's so important to understand what's going on. So the reason I have the Infinity Watch highlighted at the very bottom here is because, honestly speaking, they are really, really the best value in the game right now, especially if you're starting off in the game and you don't know who you're going to bring in for Dark Dimension. Well, I'm telling you right now, bring in the Infinity Watch. Reason being is because there's 5 characters overall that you can use for the Cosmic Nodes. And keep in mind, with Dark Dimension 2, Dark Dimension 3, the start of it, and Dark Dimension 4, again, the start of it, there are these nodes that are generally classified as non-trait, so you can use any character that you want. In this case, you can actually use the Infinity Watch characters again. So not only can you double dip by using them in non-traded nodes, but you can also use them in Cosmic. So just look at what I have right now. I have a total of 6 different characters utilized in the Cosmic nodes, right? You can see from Hela all the way to Thanos. And if you invested in the Infinity Watch, you could have eliminated a good chunk of that list already. You save materials, and you're building a team that's part of the meta right now. You know, there's going to be another overpowered team that comes out in either 8 months to a year that's going to be besting the Infinity Watch. You know, kind of like how the Black Order was a very good team. They were absolutely dominating, and a lot of players actually invested in them for Dark Dimension. The Infinity Watch is on a whole completely different level because of the power creep in the game, because of how their statistical bonuses are just much better than previous characters released, and we want to take advantage of that. So if you're watching this video right now, my message to you isn't to build the Infinity Watch right away. It's to really gauge where are you going to be in the game in 6 months. If you're not going to be reaching Dark Dimension in 6 months, I would plan strategically, save your materials for the next best team. But if you're going to be in the Dark Dimension in a month or two from now, 100% I recommend bringing them into Dark Dimension 3 and Dark Dimension 4, because of the fact that not only are you you're going to save materials, B, you're building a team that's going to be relevant in the arena, and as well, you're understanding the meta and investing in characters that are likely provide value to you, if not for the long term, at least for the short term. Main reason I bring this up now is because I have a boatload of Cosmic characters that I just don't know what I'm going to do with now. I have the Infinity Watch fully built up that I'm probably going to use for Dark Dimension 5 because of the fact that they're so relevant, they're so powerful together. But now, given this situation where we don't know if we're going to see this breakout again with legendary characters not being utilized with the Cosmic Nodes, maybe that's the potential for us to utilize different characters in that combination effect, right? So just food for thought to consider, because I don't know now if I'm going to bring Hela, Minerva, Proxima Midnight, Thanos into Dark Dimension 5. Because of the fact that now we have very powerful Infinity Watch characters that can be used, and they're already built up strong naturally because they're using the meta, especially if you want to stay relevant in war, arena, honestly all aspects of the game, even in the Doom raids. So that's why it's really important to consider and think about that, you guys. You know, I'm not trying to say my ideas are absolute. I just want you to start thinking about which of those characters are you likely going to be using, because that's what's going to matter. Players go into the roster and they just go ahead and pump as much materials into a character or a new team because of the fact that it's trending, the fact that you have a brand new team like the Secret Avengers here, and you really want them to do well. But the thing is, are they going to be utilized in the Dark Dimension stages? That's what you have to consider. Dark Dimension is very different in the sense that you do need team synergy and you need the good sustainability. Yes, you can get the job done over time and just doing attempts, but you also want to do it effectively if you can, because it's a good mode. You know, it provides a lot of rewards for the average player. You know, that's how you unlock Ultron, that's how you unlock Doctor Doom, that's how you get the extra Ultimus unlocked. But that's why it's so important to be able to combat the Dark Dimension nodes, because of the fact that they provide an immense amount of benefits, but you also want to do it effectively without having to overly invest in my case, you know, 20 plus characters to actually get the nodes done. So in hindsight, I probably could have got the job done better, but obviously I was just trying to take advantage of the fact that I've already utilized and invested in characters. Obviously, this can't be perfect because at the end of the day, we can't predict where the game's going to go, what the developers are going to actually change up with the Dark Dimension. But now what we can use is the information we have on hand, which is the fact that we have a really powerful cosmic team being Infinity Watch, and they can likely push through Dark Dimension 3 with no issues, and parts of them can be used for Dark Dimension 4. So that's why the message here, there's just a better way to attack the strategy for Dark Dimension, and especially now with this changing meta, that there's reworks happening. Who knows, maybe some of these characters in my list I've used are going to get reworked to be better, and if they are, great, because I already have them built up to either tier 14 or tier 15. So just food for thought. Honestly, resource management. So just showing you here real quick, even when you're completely done the game and done Dark Dimension, what you should always be doing is just making sure you're stacking up on the resources that you need. So, you know, for instance, I don't even need the Ballistic Weaves anymore, but every time I see that they're available, I'm going to get them, because most of the powerful mutants, like Mr. Sinister, Emma Frost, they're going to need it later, and I don't know what kind of bottleneck will be in the future, but you just never know. So just always take the time to actually, if you have a chance to go through and buy the tier 14, tier 15 materials, go ahead and do that, because you're never going to know when you need it. So that's another thing too. Since we're on this topic, not a lot of people realize that, you know, one of the big and heaviest investments into the progression is the actual damage catalysts and the focus the catalysts. So you can find these in the raid store, the war store, but these are things that not a lot of players focus on, because you just use so much of it when you're progressing your characters that at the end of the day you do lose track, right? And until you build a spreadsheet or something to track it, you know, this is the focus right here. This is a great example. That you use a lot of these unproportionately when you're actually trying to upgrade your character. So just things you don't see until you actually start upgrading your characters, and then you realize, oh wow, I don't actually have enough to bring them to Dark Dimension 4 because I need to farm for more of these. So if these are all things that you can already start farming before you start Dark Dimension 3 and Dark Dimension 4, I think it's going to help out a lot of players. So, you know, the key message here, you guys, is just really just take a step back, understand the meta that's relevant right now. And it's just going to save you more time and investment into the gear, because it's going to save you overall less materials being used, and then you can use that to upgrade your other characters. Worst thing is when you don't have enough gear, but you have enough gold and you have enough other materials, but you're waiting on that one specific material to actually level up necessary requirements. That's the worst part, right? So food for thought. But, you know, I think those two things are really good to consider. And at the end of the day, just stay the course, be patient, because understand that when you go through these Dark Dimension nodes, you know, this is what the developers take their time in developing. And honestly speaking, they are the hardest PvE content in the game. So just be patient with yourself. You know, it's a marathon, it's not a race. The key is really managing your resources and using an effective team and synergy, and constantly doing research and making sure that you are using characters that will stay relevant. So, you know, I hope this, I didn't want to go too long for this video, but I hope the message is clear, you guys. You know, just make sure you're reviewing the characters that are relevant, stay the course, and understand the meta. That's going to help you, because even if it's not the Infinity Watch now, it's going to be another great team. And really just kind of gauge yourself, you know, get a sense of where you're going to be in a couple months here. If you're going to be starting Dark Dimension, then I would invest in characters that are relevant. If it's going to be a little longer term, I might hold back on investing in the characters just in case, right? And at the end of the day, I guess it also depends on how progressive and how competitive your alliance is, because there might be that indirect pressure. So just stay the course, do what works best for you, but hope this is able to give you guys some insight. It's really how I kind of prepared, but obviously I'm not perfect. I made a lot of mistakes along the way, as noted in that spreadsheet with all the X's I showed. So hope this video is able to give you guys some insight in terms of what I was thinking when I was planning for this, and we'll see what happens with Dark Dimension 5 when the more details come out of how those nodes will be. Thank you as always, you guys. Do appreciate you checking out my videos, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.